had taught for a while. Wasn't the only place I taught, but was one of the places I taught. And now I hold a role really, which is like a COO role right now, but it still is managing fundraisers and doing a number of fundraising duties. So that's sort of my path into the field. I live in Dillsburg, and so I'm kind of outside of Harrisburg area. Out here, we've got about 5 acres, some chickens. I've got 4 kids and my wife, and we live. We enjoy the countryside out here. So I work in York, but live in Dillsburg. So yeah, that's a little bit of my story. What I am grateful for with the opportunity to talk to you all is I think this is a good chance to maybe set the tone a little bit for our year coming up. As a chapter, we all know that it's been a tough year for us on multiple levels, not just as a chapter, I should say, as individuals. But I think one of the things that we all are hoping for the coming year and that we've learned out of this year is that relationships are important, that we need each other, that we need to support each other well. And I think that will be a theme you may have noticed when we were kind of introducing the board slate, the proposed board slate, that we talked about engaging our members. And so one of the reasons we wanted to do something like this, as opposed to just email you a list of people with faces and have you vote on them, was because we want to give you a chance to talk to us and really begin enriching the community as best we can from this point moving forward and building on the good work that Molly and the rest of our board members have been able to kind of build for this year. So yeah, that's a little bit why this format. What I think we can do here is just maybe give each of the board members, I'll probably just call on you because I don't know if our screens are probably all in different orders. Maybe you can just say, hey, a little bit of your involvement with AFP. I skipped that part. I've been involved with AFP for probably 5 or 6 years and been on the board for a little while, worked with CFRE, mentoring, that sort of thing, before kind of taking on the president-elect role. But yeah, if you could describe a little bit about your AFP involvement, maybe what you do professionally and anything else fun that you'd like to share about, you personally, that would be great. So maybe to start off, I could call on you, Dawn. You're right next to me on my screen. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I thought it was just because I had the most Christmas represented in our screens, but hats off to everyone. And this was like almost a double dog dare from Molly, I feel. So I had to bring it because yesterday I wore my Fa La 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 Llama shirt. So so here's my ornaments and whatever. I don't typically display Christmas is not up year round. But I do love Christmas. I mean, it's a time to be joyful and merry and bright. So why not? Especially
Exactly.
after this year. But I too have been involved with AFP for 5 years, and it's been such a pleasant surprise for me to be able to meet people around this part of the world because I'm not from here. Pennsylvania is the 8th state in which I've lived, most recently in Colorado. I've done fundraising in different capacities. Right now, I fundraise for 6 libraries in Adams County, which is really a fun thing. It's a totally different environment. I'm way too loud and rowdy for them, but they're getting used to me. And prior to that, I raised quite a few million with the system of the crowd fundraising, basically an event with the multiple sclerosis 150-mile bike ride and walk through MS. That's a disease that's close to my heart. I lost a brother-in-law from complications from MS. So while in Colorado, I spent quite a few years raising money for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. But then in between was a Chamber of Commerce CEO. So what's really fun about this job is connecting the community and the sponsors with donors and our cause. And so that's why I am very excited to be part of the membership team here at AFP, because that's my favorite thing to do is connect people. And our library's new purpose is connect people to resources that enrich their lives. And so I just see this as an extension of that as I'm learning more and more about AFP and global and everything that they offer. It's just, I'm just going to try to make it, make things more efficient and easier to access if possible. I don't know how we're going to do that. That's a definite team effort, but what can we do to make your lives easier, because it's so complicated and just, it was pre-pandemic and now just throw in whole new rules, right? Well, hey, guess what? We get to make up rules. we're making it up. Bottom line is that's what we're doing this year. So many of us, you know, the best guesses as much as we can. And to use a couple of words from Eric, our wonderful treasurer, who you'll get to hear from, like to be nimble and flexible. And that's what we're trying to do. So I'm totally happy to be part of this team. And I do expect a guitar solo after your next blurb there, bio. Actually, your next bio, whatever you want to do, Otto.
Okay. I'm feeling the pressure ratcheting up. Thanks, Dawn. Appreciate it. And just in case you didn't catch it, Dawn's position there is VP of Membership. That's the one she's slated for in the coming year. So let's go to Tammy. You're next door to Dawn on my screen. If you don't mind introducing yourself.
Okay, hi everyone. I am very excited to be part of the board for AFP. I have been involved in AFP for about 6 years now. I joined AFP when I joined the staff of Diacon, Child, Family, and Community Ministries. I became a fundraiser without knowing fundraising was a profession. It was kind of by accident. I started out as a journalist. I was working for the Roswell Daily Record in New Mexico and burnout of journalism. And when I was lamenting to a friend that I didn't know what to do next, she suggested a grant position that she knew was open at the county level because I knew how to write and grant writing was writing. And they hired me because I knew how to write and they could teach me the grant stuff. And I fell in love with it. It took all the skill set that I had acquired as a journalist, and it was everything I loved about journalism, but it took out a lot of the stuff that had burnt me out about journalism. And I have been involved in nonprofits ever since. And so I've worked at Diacon for about 6 years now. I'm a grants and development officer. I've branched out into some other areas of fundraising. And last year, with some mentorship from Otto and some of the other AFP members, I was able to obtain my CFRE. AFP was very supportive in that process. And so anyone thinking about that process, look to the chapter for support in that area because there's other people working on that. And I think the chapter has really stepped up to support members pursuing that certification. And I think that's one area that the chapter is really excelling right now. And as Vice Chair of Communications, you know, I'm really looking forward to helping the members stay connected. And I think in the coming year, we're going to be seeing a lot of exciting things happening with working with all of the committees together for membership and communication and education to really, whether it's in person or virtually, helping the members get the most out of their membership.
That's great. Thanks, Tammy. I learned a couple new things about you there as well. So good to hear. Eric, why don't you go ahead?
I really am not the Grinch. I just like the Grinch. It's one of my favorite, the old Grinch, not the new Grinch, the real old one with Boris Karloff in it. But I think that for me, I'll just say that the reason I like the Grinch is because, and especially since we're in this Christmas vibe, is that the close, you know, the song called Fahu Dore or Yahoo Dore, depending on how you look it up. But, you know, Christmas will come, and it's kind of like this year, Christmas will come regardless if we have packages and boxes or bows, whatever, whether we're ready or not. And in that song, it talks about as long as we have hands to grasp and that we can stand hand in hand. And I think that that's kind of, AFP is kind of there, you know, we're kind of what we're trying to do this year is that we're here with each other and we're grasping each other's hands and we're hand in hand trying to support fundraisers as we navigate this climate of unknown called 2020. I think it's hysterical that this year was 2020 and we refer to 2020 as clear vision. I don't know about any of you. This has been the most unclear, unpredictable, unknown year for it being 2020. So that being said, I'm a CPAK. I'm a kid of a CPA. I never wanted to be a fun guy, a guy that dealt with numbers. In my lifetime, I've worked for nonprofits over 30 years. I've been CEO, CFO, CIO, all the C's you can imagine. and I'm currently the CEO of the Children's Aid Society, have been there 5 years. I've been involved with this AFP chapter for the last 4 years because of Jan Ziegler. It's her fault that I'm here and that I serve on the board. She's to blame. I was involved with AFP out in Lycoming County when I was a CEO of a Scout Council out there, but then kind of went away when I moved back this way from Montoursville. My father was a CPA and an accountant, and probably that's where I got my propensity for budgeting and numbers and ability to understand those. But like so many things in my life, everything my father was, I went the opposite way. So I went into human services. I have a master's degree in counseling. I'm completing my MDiv in May. 2 more credits, yay. So I'll have a Master's of Divinity, and I'm a candidate for ordination in the Presbyterian Church USA. And I'm nominated to be your treasurer, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, being a CPA and all that stuff. But one of the values of my agency is to play joyfully, and as you can see, probably much to my staff's chagrin, I like mandatory fun, and I like to play and have a good time. And I think on this board we do work seriously, but we also play and have a good time. So, Merry Christmas to all of you. And if you have any questions for me as your treasurer, I'll try to answer those for you. So thanks.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it.
Mandatory fun. That I just wrote that down.
We're going to
Totally.
extend the treasurer's role to include some mandatory fun leadership.
Exactly. Yes, I love it.
Watch what you wish for, Otto.
Okay. Heather, I think you're next on the list here.
All right. Hi, everyone. I've been involved with AFP on and off over the last 5 or 6 years. I think for those of us who have been in human services fundraising, we know it's sort of contingent on your organization's budget, whether or not you can be in AFP that year. So I most recently have been at the History Center, although those of you who are friends with me on Facebook know that I just made a really big leap. I've had an offer on the table for some time to consider going to help Procopia, who any of you that are big in the grants world will know is a nonprofit consulting agency out of Pittsburgh, and to expand them to the central region. So it's something that I've been playing around with for about a couple years now, and I finally said yes, because who doesn't want to, start their own business and switch jobs in the middle of a pandemic? So I am crazy. I am also nominated to be the board secretary. A big part of that is that I've wanted to get more involved with AFP. I wanted to not just get involved coming to information sessions, but to really dig a lot deeper into it. And 2 of the things that we talked about was that I have a background as an executive assistant. So I spent 3 years in that role, where I was the board secretary for the organization because they did not have one as part of their governance structure. So I have that skill set. And I know that the DEI work is really important to AFP this year, and that's very important to me. My professional career, I started really in my first leadership role at the YWCA in York as the Chief Development Officer, and I served in that role for about 4 years. And that is the mission of that organization. So I'm really excited. A huge part of the work I'm hoping to be doing in freelance grant writing goes back to that social justice mission and understanding that a lot of small startups that are working with diverse communities in York City, Lancaster City, Harrisburg City, they don't have the bandwidth, the capacity to hire development staff members. And so I'm hoping to help some of those smaller nonprofits that know the community, live in the community, and do the work with them, that I can help in that capacity. So I love to fundraise. Social justice is really core to my mission. So in my heart and soul, and how I live and breathe every day. So it seemed like the perfect fit for me. So I'm really excited to be a part of this team and to get more involved. And for anyone that's living up in the Mechanicsburg area, I live here. I've been here for about 8 years now, but I've spent all of my time in either Shippensburg or York. So I know nothing about Mechanicsburg. So help connect me.
It's great. We're not that far from each other. I didn't realize you lived up in Mechanicsburg. That's great. All right, Katie, I think you're next.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Katie Zimmerman, and I'm the Foundation Partnerships and Grants Manager for Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. So I manage all of our grants and foundation partner relationships. We're currently hiring in our grants team at Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. So if you know of anyone who would be a great grants coordinator, please, or if you would be a great grants coordinator, please send them my way. I have been on the board of AFP for the last 3 years, serving as the Young Professionals Chair. And I've really enjoyed connecting with our young professionals and creating some educational opportunities specifically for them. And I'm excited to step into the role of Vice President of Education for next year. Eric, it's funny you talk about your dad. I'm the child of 2 public school teachers. So apparently the apple doesn't fall far from the tree a couple places. And I'm really looking forward to bringing some really exciting educational opportunities to our chapter. Both, real fundraising skills to make sure that we're all growing those fundraising skills we need, but also larger topics about leadership, diversity, things like that, to make us really well-rounded professionals for those of us who want to grow towards director development and executive leadership type roles and just be really well-rounded people. So if you have ideas about what you'd like to see the chapter do in the next year, I'd love to hear from you. If you've heard someone who is a really great speaker you think we should bring in, please let me know. Or if you have a topic that you're like, you know what, this is part of the CFRE curriculum and I'm going for CFRE and I just need to learn more, or I would love to see the chapter address this, please, I would love to hear all of those ideas. And then we can kind of make lemons from lemonade and bring in some speakers from really far away virtually this year. So geography is a little bit less of a restriction, at least for the first part of the year. We'll see where it goes. So let me know if you have ideas or things that you would like to see the chapter address to really make your membership a really meaningful experience.
Thanks, Katie. Appreciate it. Molly, why don't you go ahead and speak a couple minutes. I think most people know you, but we'll give you the floor anyway.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm Molly, your current president, getting ready to step down into the past president, if you'll elect me, that is, which I think is funny. But anyway, it's been great. I've been involved with the AFP board here for, let's see if I could do the math. I think it's 7 years. I actually started as a liaison between the Planned Giving Council and this chapter, and then just found myself doing lots of different things involved with the conference, and then stepped into the education role, and then here I am now. So I am the Director of Development at New Hope Ministries, based in Dillsburg, with locations in Mechanicsburg and Hanover and a whole bunch of other ones, and really excited that we're actually getting ready to open our 8th location in January in Enola. So that's pretty crazy.
Wow.
We are I'm pretty sure that our executive director is literally closing on that property right now. So yeah, it's kind of a crazy time here, but New Hope is crazy and I love it. And I fit right in, I guess. But I have been here for 12 years. And before that, I actually worked at Children's Aid Society, but not when Eric was there. When I first moved to Pennsylvania, which was about 16 years ago, I actually started working at Leave a Legacy, which is out of York, and I was their chapter administrator. So I was doing what our lovely chapter admin here, Christy, does, very part-time, working from home, because my kiddos were teeny tiny at the time, so it was a great fit. And then I had to jump back in full-time, and that's where I landed at Children's Aid Society. So I'm from Maryland originally, and I just have to share, because it's right on my heart right now. My daughter, she just finished her last college class last night, and she has now earned her bachelor's. So I'm so excited. She's a film major down at Towson University. So she just presented her last final film project last night. So I came into work today and I just went, my daughter is done. Yay. So she started at Hack locally and then transferred to Towson. So anyway, that was my fun news today, but I'm just sharing that because I think a big part of who we are personally, as you know, we get to know each other a little bit better. You know, as Ada said, it's like, oh, I didn't know that about you or you or you. I think it's good to kind of add that element into the work that we're doing here as a chapter, because I think it could become pretty routine and boring and just stick with kind of the business at hand, which is really important. but I think this element, even in a virtual way of getting to know one another a little bit more and who we are just as individuals, is important to keep us motivated and focused as well. And I love AFP. I don't know how much longer I'll be in a serving capacity, but as long as I'm in fundraising, which I'm not thinking after these many years I'm going to do anything else at this point, I'm sure I will be always involved. So love to be here, love to answer any questions, be a resource as needed, but also step out of the way and allow some amazing people like you're meeting today and people who are joining us. If you're interested in serving, it's a great way to get to know the fundraising community. So thanks.
And I'd like to offer a plug for Maddie, your fabulous daughter. So hire her if you need a video done. Seriously, she helped us out. We were fortunate to have her intern with us and create some videos that I've been wanting for 5 years. And she's totally fabulous. So please congratulate her for me too.
I will. Thanks, Dawn, and thanks for the
That's
plug.
great.
Because now
Great.
she needs to look for a job. So anyway.
Good to know. I didn't know that. Good. Thanks, Molly. So that I think gets us across our board members, but I don't want to leave out Christy, because Christy is pretty much central to most everything that happens at AFP, and she holds a very important role. So Christy, would you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Christy Twinier. I am started my 3rd year at AFP, which kind of seems, this year kind of feels like 5. So it's amazing, I think it's a little asterisk. I have 3 boys that you might be able to hear, 12, 10, and just newly 4. We moved here from See, I looked at Don, California. We've been here for almost 14 years, so a while. I did fundraising as my internship in college, and then I did sales for a while, and then I did fundraising again in California. And then I did special events and sponsors and major gifts in California, and then moved here. I worked and did special events. And then I've been doing kind of part-time work since my oldest was born, and this kind of fit for me. So it's nice that I know what you guys do and what you need for the most part, and can kind of look at it a different lens than someone who's just as good as organizing, I guess. But it's been good. And I think even though all the challenges we had this year, we still came a long way, where I've talked to other chapters who they didn't go virtual when we went virtual, they just canceled. So I think we've done a very good job. And I think that's, in part of the leadership team that we had for 2020. And I know that will continue for 2021.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Hopefully all you that are on the call as well that we haven't heard from yet can sense, we've got a great group here. I'm very confident in their abilities, and also just they're a group that's fun to work with and is very positive, and I appreciate that. So the second half of this, I was thinking, would simply just be some time for conversation, whether that's, a couple questions you may have. Maybe you're new to the chapter, maybe you've been around. Either way, if there's anything that we can help explain a little bit or talk about for the coming year, we're glad to do that. One thing that I'll just mention quickly while you're thinking about that, this year we have been very intentional about expanding our structure a little bit and really building out some committees that are taking on important work in the chapter. So there's a education committee led by Katie, a membership committee led by Dawn, and a marketing committee led by Tammy. And each of those are opportunities for other members or even community members to serve and help facilitate the work of the chapter. And so if you've been thinking about getting involved, or maybe somebody who would be a great person to kind of nominate to us as a committee member, we'd love to hear from you on that. We have a good group already engaged, but I think it's fair to say that I think most of the people that I know in AFP would agree that if you want to get the most out of an AFP membership, the best way to do it is kind of get close to the people who are involved, step up, take on something, and learn from the people around you and network with the folks around you. So definitely put that out there as a little plug for any of you who who have a little bit of interest in helping lead the chapter, we're glad to talk a little bit more about that. But other than that, is there anybody who has a question or maybe a thought about our chapter moving forward in the coming year for our board?
Yeah, I'd love to know any ideas, like Katie's team with education, what you're seeking, a membership benefit that we could consider if we don't already offer it, or anything like that would be helpful to know. Or
This
we
is
can just talk about
Molly Shane. I didn't have anything specific to say other than just to thank you for doing this. I think this is a really nice idea since we can't see you all in person. And I was just curious to get to know who are these people that are going to be leading my AFP chapter in the coming year. And thank you, Christy, for recording it too, because obviously not everybody that could join today that probably would like to get this information. So thank you for doing this.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, and I'm Laurel Spagnolo, and I agree with Molly. I was going to chime in and say that I am a longtime AFP member. I've been a member for 32 years, which makes me very old, feel very old compared to all of you who have been members for 5 or 6 years. So I am a former chapter president. Probably about 19 or 20 years ago, I served as president. And I want to not only thank you for your involvement on continuing on with a wonderful chapter. I thoroughly enjoyed my time in leadership of the chapter, and it meant the world to me. Just the networking and what I learned from the other board members and basically our chapter members. So I wanted to encourage you that this is a wonderful time in your career and to take advantage of it. And I'm so glad that you are very involved, and keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurel.
Thank you, Laura.
Appreciate
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks.
very much appreciate that.
I'm gonna call you. I'm totally calling you. Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Simpson, and I want to first apologize. I'm kind of a visitor. I'm not an official member. I work with the ARC of York County. I'm our development coordinator and work with our director of development, Jim Poster, who some of you may know. And just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity. I found out about the AFP Central PA chapter through Chad Barger. I did one of his online webinars during the pandemic, and he's had lots of good things to say. So I reached out and got on the email list. And so I thought this was a perfect opportunity to kind of say hello, introduce myself, and meet some folks. Someone mentioned earlier about those budget issues with becoming an official member. So we're working with that right now. So I'm hoping to join for 2021. So I'm open to any suggestions, advice, and hope to be able to get involved a little bit more in the next year.
Right. No, Mark, we're always glad to have visitors. Certainly that's part of what we want to do well in the coming year is find folks who are in the community who could we can be helpful to and continue to reach out to them. You're getting involved at a good time, especially if you're thinking about becoming a member. Christy just posted a link, I believe, to the chat, or at least a note to the chat that we have a number of scholarships available. So that might be something that you want to take a look at and even apply for. We have a number of them that we need to move by the end of the year. A couple of them have been given away, but we have a couple more. And so certainly if you're interested in joining, we'd love to have you as part of the chapter. And thanks for checking us out.
Wonderful. Thank you. I will definitely check that out.
A couple of you are like Matthew, I know you, Lindsay, of course, we've met before. Maybe if there aren't any more pressing questions, just maybe a little bit of get to know you. I can see Larry, you're on the call as well. Larry's served on our board and is serving on our committees as well. Anybody else I don't want to kind of force anybody to interact more than they want to, but we're glad to be introduced to anybody else who's on the call that, may not know folks, or, may want to network a little bit as well.
How about some mandatory
This is
fun,
Larry.
Otto?
I just wanted to say I'm not feeling very well, so that's why you're not seeing my face. But I just wanted to let you know I'm grateful for the opportunity I've had to serve on the board. I've been on this particular board for 8 or 9 years, Molly, I think, right? I can't remember exactly. So I'm aging off. I have aged off now, but I'm still going to be involved on one of the committees. But I never, as Tammy, you mentioned, my career path was I worked in marketing and sales for about 25 years, and I segued into development kind of by accident, and it's been the most fulfilling experience of my life. I just really love it, and I think that that's one of the things that I've noticed about a lot of people is people don't think of fundraising as a career, and that's one of the things that I would just love to leave as a legacy here in our area, is for young people to think of fundraising as a career, because it really is a very rewarding and fulfilling career experience, and it can it's something that I don't think schools talk about very much. So that's something we talk about a lot here. But again, it's been wonderful being on the board here. I'm the Director of Development for United Disability Services Foundation, and I didn't know anything about fundraising when I joined AFP 10 years ago, and everything I learned from AFP has to do with my membership. So again, thank you, everyone. It's been a blessing.
Yeah, thank you, Larry, for your years of service. You certainly did age out only by definition of the bylaws, but we're glad you're still going to stick around, and certainly we hope you feel better.
Yeah, feel better.
Yeah.
How about a fun numbers question? Does anybody know how large did the Grinch's heart grow that day?
3 sizes that day.
3 sizes that day. And when that happened, one other number question, because I'm the treasurer, right? What was his strength?
10 Grinches plus 2.
Another fan. Great, man. You need to become a member.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
need to join them.
This is like incoming treasurer, like treasurer-elect. We gotta get you in, Mr. Simpson.
Well, I don't know if I'd go quite that far yet.
That's mandatory fun. Gone. So.
That's great. That's great.
So even though I'm usually very shy and reserved, since Otto called me out, I'll have to introduce myself. Molly's rolling her eyes. My name is Matthew Wagner. I'm the Communication and Development Manager for Maranatha Carlisle. We're a nonprofit financial guidance agency. So we work with people who are unable or incapable of managing their own money. We help them set up a budget, and then depending on their situation, we become their rep payee or their financial custodian. We use their income to pay their bills for them. So if you know of anybody who's either always overdrawing their account or just never paying their bills on time, feel free to let them know about us, #cheap plug. I just joined the chapter in the spring, something like that. But I've enjoyed getting to know everybody, and I'm looking forward to getting more involved.
That's great. It seems like you've been around for longer since the spring. That surprises me to hear.
Not sure if that's a compliment or an insult, but I'll take it
No,
either.
I'm just a neutral observation. I feel like I've seen you in a number of meetings, so we haven't been meeting since the spring. So
right.
I think it's because 2020 has been 47 years so far.
Every time we meet, it counts as 5 or 10.
Right. Yep. Any other comments, questions, thoughts to share?
Hi, I just want to hop on. My name is Barb, and I am also one that is not a member of AFP, but I was privileged enough to participate in the AFP fundamentals. Otto, you were in one of our classes, and I've enjoyed meeting a couple of the board members over this year of you allowing us as non-members to come into some of the classes and some of the workshops and talks and the coffees. And unfortunately, with my organization, not all of us can have memberships, so I'm enjoying seeing all of the board's faces and putting names to faces that I have seen this last year. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Barb. Where do you serve organizationally?
Spirit Trust Lutheran. I
Okay.
am the operations manager.
Great. Another York organization, or York-ish.
Yes.
At least a presence in York. That's great.
And Barb, you're doing such important work. Thank you.
Thank you.
My dad has a single cottage in here in Chambersburg. So thank you for your important work. It's such a crazy time.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and check out our scholarships, similar to what we talked to Mark about. It's a good time. We have a couple of scholarship opportunities, so maybe you can get a membership for this year at least if you take the time to apply.
I guess I should also say hi, because I think I'm the only one. It's not like I don't like to talk or anything. My name is Lindsay Mackey. I am the Director of Development for the Burns Health Education Center in York. Prior to that, I spent time fundraising and doing programming for both Girls on the Run and Girl Scouts. Worked really closely with Katie Zimmerman, not shocking there, specifically around young professionals and the AFP work with young professionals, something I think is really important. Similar to what Larry said, I think it's not really expressed how fulfilling a career in fundraising can be. And so often you hear I kind of fell into it, but it's been wonderful. It's where I feel I belong and I really enjoy it. So I think that's really important work. I love being a part of AFP, and it's good to see you all.
It's great. Thanks, Lindsay. Appreciate that.
Just FYI, for anybody that's interested, on Tuesday, January 5th, I'm going to be doing kind of a casual conversation like we're having right now, touching base with everyone about major gifts to start the new year. So if anybody's interested, please, Christy will be sending out information about that too.
Yeah, we've got a busy month, and then jumping right into the new year with a number of things. The group that Larry mentioned is one of a couple of different affinity groups that we're having available right now, which seem to be going pretty well. And I've heard good things about the conversations that have gone on there. So if you haven't checked one out, it's a good time to check that out as a member. Christy or Molly, is there anything else that any other kind of closing announcements, things that we need to mention to this group that would be helpful before we close it up for the day?
We have an educational session tomorrow. If you haven't signed up, I will put it also in the chat. It's Leah Eustace. Katie, I don't know if you'd want to talk because you did meet with her about the event tomorrow.
Sure. So if you want to hear like a really soothing Canadian just talk to you about how to be a great fundraiser, tomorrow Leah's got you covered. She's going to talk about cases for support, and she's actually offered to analyze some actual cases of support from folks in our chapter. So if you're comfortable sharing, no pressure, but if you're comfortable sharing, you're welcome to send her your case for support, and she's gonna kind of go through and talk about what we have, and then some opportunities for improvement, and then we'll also just share some general examples as well. So I think it'll be a really great opportunity for those people who are in grants, but that I think a case for support can be a lot larger than just grants, and so I hope that you'll join us.
And she told me that so far 2 people have sent her, cases, and she's super excited about that. So it's great. It's $20 for members and $30 for non-members, and I put the link in the chat.
Excellent.
I also put the link in the chat for our annual meeting next week. I put a lot of links in there. You're gonna have to go through them. Sorry.
No, that's good.
No,
that's
perfect.
good. that's a good one to keep on our radar. I mean, part of the outcome of what we're doing right now is that we hope for those of you who are members that you will go ahead and affirm this board slate with your vote. Of course, if you have any questions or thoughts or concerns or anything like that, we're glad to talk about those too. But part of what's happening here is that we are looking to elect a new board. So our annual meeting's part of that. We're actually voting online this year, so it will be a little different than in past years where we kind of can all get together and do an official vote. But encourage you to engage in that process as well in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and I was just going to mention that it's going to be an email that'll be going out probably later today, it sounds like, opening up voting for the slate, and that'll run through noon on December 14th, the date of our annual meeting. So you have a little bit of time, but if you're a member, you'll receive that email, and encourage you to vote, and we'll see what happens next.
Great. Good. Well, it's been a pleasure to visit with you all, and really appreciate you taking some time, not only for to kind of let the board introduce themselves, but also spending time with AFP. So thanks for being here. Good luck with your work. I don't know how many of you I'll see before Christmas, but Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, and appreciate you being on the call today.
Thank you very much.